What is going on, everyone? So in this video I'm going to be going over, comparing, and showing you how to install eXtremeRate's Clicky Hair Trigger Kits for the BDM-040 controller. Now there are two versions of this Clicky Hair Trigger Kit. If we check out the website, we see that for the 040 there is a light version and a strong version. So here in my hand I have a light version and a strong version. So the way you could tell actually is here. This shows, I don't know if you guys could see it, but it says 0.06, and the strong version is going to say 1.2, and I believe this is the clicking force of the kit, so the lighter version is going to say 0.06. So when I saw that they have a light and a strong version, I was very curious to see what the difference is. Now, I already installed the strong version kit. As you can see, the buttons are clicky, as well as here. So I'm going to take the light version and we're going to install this one together. I'll show you how it's done, and then we'll be able to compare both of them. So this new kit is for the BDM-040 controller. So it's very important you identify which controller you have, and you can do that a few different ways. One of the easier ways is, you see this QR code? Well, you can actually scan it with your phone, and the second digit that's going to appear will show you which generation controller you have. You could also locate the serial number on the back of the controller, and the second digit will identify the generation. And here are the back labels of each of the generation of the controllers. Now for the fourth and the fifth, they're identically the same. So if you have a label that consists of this, then you just check the serial number. And if the second digit is a 4, you have a fourth. And if the second digit is a fifth, then you have a fifth generation. And as of now, there is no Clicky Hair Trigger Kit for the fifth generation. You can also take off the R1 and the L1 triggers, and you could look inside and compare it to this chart, and you will be able to tell which generation controller you have. Once you determine you have a BDM-040 controller, we could go ahead with the process of installing this kit. So we want to open it up by removing this trim here, which will expose 2 screws, and we will take out 1, 2, and 3 and 4 screws. Once those 4 screws are out, we have these little clips here. Push them out, and now we could easily peel apart the controller. Put that aside. We're just going to take the battery out. We have 1 screw right here. Now we could take off these ribbon cables. This one, and these 2. And since we're not going to be using these motors, we could actually take the yellow and the green wire, and we could just clip them off. You could use some scissors or wire clippers if you have. So as you can see, I have clipped off the yellow and the green wire. So now we could unscrew these screws here. So the next step is we want to remove this pin here. Now the other controllers was much easier because we could just push it out, but with the 040 it's a lot harder. Now the tool that I found to make this much easier, which I am surprised that eXtremeRate did not include it, is simply like your SIM card remover. You want something that's very, very thin here that's going to be able to go into that hole. Now, most likely you will not see the hole from here, but the hole is located here on top of the spring. There's going to be just a tiny little hole where you could see that rod there. So what we want to do is we want to locate that hole, which I see from here, and I'm sorry, but I don't think you will see it. And once you see that hole, just want to insert that pin in there and push it out really hard. And then this pin here, it should pop out. So we see the pin now came out. So once we remove that pin, we could take off this trigger, And now we could take off this case here that holds everything intact, and it's going to be easier if we just take the prying tool, stick it in here, so there's actually a post here. You can just pull on this and this will come off, and we actually not going to need these anymore. So this is the motor I was telling you about, or the mechanism for the adaptive triggers. So we're gonna put those aside. So once we have the controller like this, we could actually, since everything is disconnected, we could take out this shell, put it aside for later, and we're just gonna use this housing for now. Here you see some membrane here that we could remove. And inside here is that conductive strip film, which we're also gonna remove it. And here, and we can turn it around here, open this up carefully, and we could unhook it right here, and this strip can just come off. Let's check now what we get inside our trigger kit. So we have our new conductive strip with the clicky buttons, hardware tools. We're going to use these later for the triggers. We have our membrane for the clicky buttons, and here we have our housing. So for now, we're going to take this strip and replace it with the one we just took off. And now these are the back buttons, so we're just going to have to kind of maneuver it around here and get them in here. And we need to connect this back here. So we'll just put that on those two pins. So we want to take this little piece here that comes with the kit. This is the right one, and put it to the right side. And this trigger here, we want to put it into this little slot. Once it's staying there and put, we could screw in the bracket in this hole right here. We want to take this longer one for each side. So you want to take your trigger here now and just insert this right here. Now we're going to take the trigger with a little piece here installed. We just want to put her in, so we're going to kind of take it and hook it up in here first. And once that's lined up, we're going to take our pin and stick it back in here. And you should have this nice clicky sound. So we're going to go ahead and do everything we did to this trigger on this side as well. Alright, so now we have both of the triggers installed. We could put this aside now. We want to get this controller here, the front plate that we put aside, and we want to get these new membranes that came in with the kit. Now these are also only for the whole clicky. So your front buttons are going to be clicky. You need this. So we're going to take one of each, and we're just going to go ahead and remove the old one and replace it with the new one. So there, it should be nice and firm. Once we have these installed, now we could start putting back the controller. So we want to make sure that we have our speaker in there. So we have our speaker in there, that's good. Sometimes the speaker falls off, and the speaker is right here. So the speaker is in there. We want to gently put this back together, and then we could put this on top of here. Take this cable here, kind of pull it out. And just assemble it back now. Connect the cables back. Now we want to tighten the board to the front plate. So I'm just going to take the screw here, put it into this hole. Next is the battery case. Put the battery in here, make sure everything is nice and good. Now we can take our back case, put the top portion first, then it click right in. And the last part is we're going to take these two pieces here, and we're going to just insert, there's this hole here, and we're just going to insert these into this hole. Nice and tight. And put these back inside the controller. Let's just do the sound comparison between both. So the face buttons here, the tactical buttons, they're identical. I think the only difference is on the trigger. These activate a little bit quicker, and these have a little bit more leeway. But as far as the pressure, they're like almost identical. The difference is very, very small. I actually like the lighter version better. It just has more leniency here when you push it. So they activate about now. So you have this much wiggle room. With this one, they activate a little bit quicker. So you barely have any wiggle room, just about that much. This one is more responsive, I think, on the light version. I prefer the lighter version, but just to be honest, guys, almost identical. What I did notice is these controllers are lighter compared to the regular DualSense because we took out these parts. So regular DualSense, 279 grams compared to the ones that we just installed, 20 grams lighter. So yeah, guys, I was just curious what the difference was, so I wanted to compare them both. But to be honest, the difference is so subtle that you'll be happy with either one. I hope this video was helpful for you guys.